Hello and welcome to our program. A selective portion of the three-day Inter-Korean Summit held in Pyongyang last month was broadcast live. But to most of the world, the North Korean capital still remains a mysterious place. On this week's A Road to Peace, we sit down with a foreign journalist who traveled to Pyongyang during the recent Inter-Korean Summit to get a better understanding of the city. Here is what we have for you today.
On this week's A Road to Peace, we discuss behind-the-scenes stories of the recent Inter-Korean Summit in Pyongyang with a Kyodo news journalist. We also take a look at North Korea's KCTV footage of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un giving a rare deep bow to his people. Lastly, we explore the legacy of the October 4th Joint Declaration and how it shaped the Pyongyang Joint Declaration.
For today's discussion, we're joined by Kentaro Okasaka, Chief of Kyodo News Seoul Bureau. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So I heard that you recently traveled to Pyongyang, and can you tell us more about what occasion it was for your visit?
Right. So I had a chance to visit Pyongyang on the occasion of 70th anniversary of the foundation of North Korea. And also I was staying there during the time when Chairman Kim Jong-un and President Moon Jae-in was holding a summit meeting.
So you were there for a pretty long time, for more than 2 weeks, I guess?
Right, nearly 17 days, right.
I also heard that you traveled to Pyongyang before 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what the main differences were from your last visit to the previous one?
15 years ago, at the airport, when I entered the country, I had to deposit my cell phone. And this time, on the contrary, I was given SIM card. So I was online, anytime during my stay in Pyongyang. That was major change, isn't it? It's so convenient as a reporter to, anytime I can call to Tokyo and receive a phone call from Tokyo, our editors. That one thing tells us, how far the North Korean economy or technology has developed. The atmosphere was this time, of course, the celebration of 70th anniversary. So, people were really practicing the sort of events, parades, and mass games, stuff like that. Actually, I want to show this. This is stamps of showing the 70 years of their development. So, first page from, of course, the Mr. Kim Il-sung, and next is Mr. Kim Jong-il and Chairman Kim Jong-un's time.
It really has the, from the photos that I see from the stamps, they really capture the key moments in North Korea's history.
Exactly.
It's more like a history book rather than a stamp book.
Right. So I think their intention is like to, explain their progress to the outside of North Korea, to the world.
Now, I want to talk more about the Founding Day celebrations because you were able to see it firsthand, which most reporters weren't able to do. Now, for the celebrations, how big was it military-wise? Because we hear that the scale was a little bit toned down compared to previous years.
This was my first experience to physically see it, so I was really impressed by the scale. But of course, compared to the previous ones, there was no ICBM intercontinental ballistic missiles shown. And my impression was, rather than the military aspect, Citizens Parade was more active. And there were, of course, those floats or big cards that has a sign of let's concentrate on economic, or development. I thought that was really a message from North Korean side to the rest of the world, that they are eager to sort of develop their own economy instead of emphasizing their capability of nuclear weapons.
Right. North Korea is one of the least well-known places in the world, so I think a lot of our viewers will be curious about the food, the accommodation, and more than anything, the people themselves. Can you tell us more about your impression of those aspects of North Korea?
Reporters, including myself, stayed at a hotel in Pyongyang. Of course, accommodation was good enough. Foods were really delicious.
Oh, really?
I had a chance to visit Omryugan.
Cold noodles, Pyeongyang-naengmyeon.
Right. The restaurant was famous because of, as you know, the leaders ate together twice, once at Panmunjom and the other in Pyongyang.
Right, right.
In Pyongyang, there's a variety of choices, including Western foods like pizza, Japanese restaurant.
I can really see from your expression that the food was really above expectations for you. Now, what about the people? I'm sure you met some of the local North Koreans there. Were they nice as they're portrayed in the North Korean broadcasts?
Judging from what I saw, people looked happy. They dressed well. People are, talking on the cell phone. Some people were really watching news on their cell phones seriously. People are living a good life, at least in Pyongyang.
No, it doesn't really look that different from the scenes that we see normally in South Korean streets, right? So you also had the rare opportunity to watch the masking performances. Can you tell us more about what you thought after watching those performances, and especially in terms of the message they were sending to the rest of the world?
What I was really impressed was at the latter half of the mass game, the scene of Chairman Kim Jong-un and President Moon were shown. When the movies were shown, tens of thousands of people at the stadium really stood up and applauded.
Really?
And that was really touching moment to me to see, those two leaders hugging each other, and the Korean local citizens were watching and applauding.
And it really shows the public sentiment in North Korea towards reunification or just North Korea-South Korea relations. And I guess that's a very good sign. But also technology-wise, it was very high-tech using media art and drones.
Right.
Well, to your expectations, was it also very advanced in that kind of aspect?
It was very advanced. They are actually showing their capability in terms of technology. Drones were flying over our stadium, and I would say dozens flying in the shape of Shining Fatherland, the title of the mass game.
Right.
There are technologies like projection mapping used during the show, even compared to the previous Arirang mass game.
Much more developed
Yeah.
in various aspects.
Exactly.
Now, I also want to talk about the streets of Pyongyang because I see a lot of footages and they have a lot of skyscrapers, and like you mentioned, North Koreans have a lot of smartphones. Can you describe more of the streets for us and how they're different from the streets 15 years ago?
Again, I see a lot of signs of development. Streets like famous Mire Scientist Street, which was dedicated for those scientists, and this, seems to be very luxurious. And the design is also very unique, and the colors, are very colorful. So I think, many changes could be seen during my stay there.
Now, I also heard that you found something interesting, that there were buildings powered up by green energy.
Right. That was another thing that I was interested in. Every corner of the street, there is solar panel. Even in the suburban area, there was a solar panel equipped in each, household. During the parade, there was a float that has a solar panel as well as the windmill. I get a sense that North Korea is now sort of, investing on those green energy. I talked with a local North Korean person, and she said that it's kind of a trendy thing to have equipped solar panel at home.
It's very surprising because, to my knowledge, those things are pretty expensive, not for everyday households. So I think there is a big improvement in economic development.
Right.
Now, also while you were there, foreign journalists were taken to some interesting places, including a cosmetics factory and a electronics exhibition. Now, these places aren't really common for visitors to actually go to. What do you think was the intention behind these visits, and what were your impressions of those places as well?
That was kind of a tour set up by North Korean authority to the foreign news reporters who visited Pyongyang. So obviously, those factories are what North Korea would want to show to the rest of the world, right? Apparently, those two factories, as well as the exhibition, show the amount of the North Korean, economic development. I spoke with the manager of the factory, and he said that we do know that our new policy, abandoning nuclear weapons and concentrating on, economic development, it's already reported in Rodon Shinmun, newspaper. That's what he said. My take is that those new policy of the North Korea regime is well understood by the local citizens, someone in charge of the economic division. And also I saw TVs made in North Korea at the exhibition.
Can you tell us more about those televisions?
So there's not just one, but several brands. One was called Pyeongyang. It seems that they are competing with each other. Each brand has their own sort of merits. Pyeongyang TV booth, I saw a woman, explaining to the customers that their screen is very strong, strong enough to step on.
Oh,
and
really?
actually, she stepped on the screen.
She showed you in person.
Exactly.
And there, I guess we see a lot of products that can actually compete in the global market as well.
But in terms of, as economic sanction,
Right.
currently it seems to be quite difficult for North Korea to export their own products.
And that's why we need so much more rapid developments on North Korea. Now, from everything you just described, we can really see North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's priorities, which are economic development. Now, before we continue on with Mr. Okasaka's stories, let's take a look at a clip from North Korea's KCTV.
창립 70돌을 맞이한 김제공업종합대학을 방문하시어 교원 연구사들을 축하하시고 기념사진을 찍으셨습니다. 경애하는 최고 용도자 동지께서는 김제공업종합대학은 우리나라 과학기술 교육과 인민경제의 자립적 발전, 국방력 강화에 커다란 공헌을 해온 대학이라고. 이 영예로운 대학의 창립 70돌을 맞으며 교원 연구사들을 직접 만나 축하하게 된 것을 기쁘게 생각한다고 하시면서 사회주의 전국의 부강 번영과 미래를 위하여 교육과학연구 사업에 헌신 분투해가고 있는 대학의 전체 교원 연구사들에게 우리 당과 정부를 대표하여 축하의 인사를 드린다고 뜨겁게 말씀하셨습니다. 대학의 교원 연구사들이 과학으로 비약하고 교육으로 미래를 담보하자라는 구호를 더 높이 들고 나라의 과학기술 발전과 경제 건설을 힘있게 견인하는 선두마차 기관차가 되리라는 기대와 확신을 표명하시고 그들과 함께 기념사진을 찍으셨습니다.
Now, from the clip that we just watched, we saw some unexpected sides of Kim Jong-un because he was saluting to the people of the university and he was showing some very modest and humble sides of his personality. You were able to see him. I think a lot of our watchers, including myself, will be very curious about what Kim Jong-un is really like in person. Can you tell us more about that?
I actually saw Chairman Kim twice, once at the parade and the other at the mass game.
Right.
He was sitting with his wife, Ri Sol-ju, and watching very seriously, and sometimes smiling and talking with his wife and other guests from maybe China and other countries. It's hard to know, however, what he really thinks because he did not give a speech to the public during my stay there.
Right. Now, from the clip, we also saw leader Kim Jong-un actually visiting a university. And I heard that you were able to visit another North Korean university before. Can you tell us what that school was and what your impression of the school was as well?
So what I saw was the University of Education, teaching those future teachers. And surprisingly, the education method includes a lot of high technology, such as 3D projection, virtual reality. This is the scene when those students are actually learning how to teach in the classroom.
That's very interesting.
This student is talking to the animation students. If you practice in the real classroom, students are very noisy, not necessarily listen to the teachers. At the education stage, they use those virtual reality. When the student asks questions to those animated students, they reply. They speak back to the teachers
That's very different from what we see from South Korean schools.
This is another example that North Korea wanted to show to us, right? The technology, the level of technology they acquired during these, 70 years.
Now, moving on, with the recent Inter-Korean summit in Pyongyang, the two Koreas saw the peak of their bilateral relations. In fact, it was the past two Inter-Korean summits held in 2000 and 2007 in Pyongyang that laid the groundwork for the recent positive developments. Here's a short video explaining the significance of the October 4th Joint Declaration, an agreement signed between the Koreas during the late President Roh Moo-hyun's visit to Pyongyang in 2007.
This year marks the 11th anniversary of the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit Agreement, dubbed the October 4th Joint Declaration. The agreement is believed to have laid the groundwork for the Panmunjom Declaration in April and the Pyongyang Declaration in September this year. We take a look back at the history and legacy the declaration left behind.
이제 저는 이번에 대통령으로서 이 금단의 선을 넘어갑니다. 평화와 번영의 길로 가는 그런 계기가 되도록 노력하겠습니다.
On October 2nd, 2007, the late President Roh Moo-hyun headed to Pyongyang to attend the second Inter-Korean Summit since 2000, becoming the first South Korean president to walk across the military demarcation line into the north. On the last day of the three-day summit on October 4th, Roh and then North Korean leader Kim Jong-il signed the Declaration on the Advancement of South-North Korean Relations, Peace and Prosperity.
2007년 10월 당시 노무현 대통령과 김정은 국방위원장은 14 공동선언을 통해서 남북 상호 존중과 군사적 적대 관계 종식, 그리고 한반도 정전선언 추진과 사회문화 교류 협력의 확대, 남북 경협의 확대 등에 합의했습니다. 당시에도 남북한 정상은 서해상에서의 공동 어로수역구역과 평화구역 설정 추진에 합의했고, 또한 북한의 철도도로의 개보수, 그리고 이산가족 상봉의 확대, 그리고 인도적 차원에서의 협력 등에 합의를 했습니다.
The declaration marked a major milestone in cross-border relations. 11 years have passed since it was announced, but its legacy is now more relevant than ever.
14 정상선언의 이행과 남북 경협 사업의 추진을 위한 남북 공동조사 연구 작업이 시작될 수 있기를 기대합니다.
이거 이미 채택된 북남 선언들과 모든 합의들을 철저히 이행해 나가는 것으로 관계 개선과 발전의 전환적 국면을 열어나가기로 하였습니다.
During the historic Inter-Korean Summit held in Panmunjom in April, the leaders of the two Koreas reaffirmed their commitments to the October 4th Joint Declaration, focusing on practical ways to promote bilateral cooperation.
14선언의 내용을 보면은 올해 남북 정상 간에 합의된 판문점 선언, 그리고 평양 공동선언의 내용과 비슷한 어떤 그런 부분들이 많이 들어가 있습니다.
2007년도가 그 남북관계 평화 번영, 여기에 대해서 핵심적인 문제들이 명시되어 있다 하면은 4.27 판문점 선언과 또 그리고 이 9월 평양 선언에서도 비핵화 문제가 좀 더 구체화됐을 뿐이지 나머지 부분에 대해서는 그 정신은 계속 발전되고 있는 것이 눈에 보인다, 이렇게 이해하면 될 것 같습니다.
President Moon Jae-in has played an instrumental role in renewing the legacy of the October 4th Joint Declaration. Back in 2000, Moon, as Chief of Staff to then President Roh Moo-hyun, headed the preparatory committee of the Inter-Korean Summit.
문재인 대통령이 2007년도에는 추진위원장이었고, 또 그리고 2018년도는 실질적인 주인공의 역할이기 때문에 아마 그 정신은 상당히 개성 발전시키고 있다를 보여주고.
Last year, President Moon highlighted the significance of implementing the October 4th Joint Declaration at a ceremony celebrating its 10-year anniversary.
14 정상선언은 한반도의 평화 지도였습니다. 한반도에서 전쟁과 반복의 역사를 걷어내고 평화와 공동 번영의 새로운 지도를 그려나가자는 남북의 공동선언이었습니다.
This year has seen a dramatic thaw in inter-Korean relations. the Moon administration has been quickly mapping out follow-up measures since the Panmunjom summit to ensure the momentum stays this time.
올해 들어서 북한 개성에 남북 연락사무소가 개소가 되어서 남북 당국자 간에 이제 수시로 경협 사업과 다양한 사업에 대해서 이제 논의가 이루어지고 있는 이제 그런 어떤 소통의 강화, 이것은 과거보다 남북 간의 협력의 가능성을 훨씬 더 높이고 있다고 할 수 있습니다.
Meanwhile, South and North Korea held a joint event in Pyongyang to celebrate the 11th anniversary of the October 4th Joint Declaration. The joint event, which was the first of its kind, was one of the agreements reached during last month's Inter-Korean Summit in Pyongyang.
첫 번째로는 정상화 합의서를 이행하겠다는 그런 측면이 있고, 또 하나는 민간과 당국이 함께 합물해 가지고 소위 말해서 함께하는 대북 정책, 함께하는 대남 정책, 그런 측면에서도 의미부여할 수 있고, 더 나아가서 이 한반도의 평화 번영에 있어서 적어도 이러한 그 기념 행사를 기점을 해가지고 한문도 되새기는 그런 측면에서도 의미가 있다고 생각합니다.
Based on the framework of the October 4th Joint Declaration and building on the Panmunjom and Pyongyang declarations, a new peace map is being drawn for the Korean Peninsula.
Now, the Pyongyang Declaration carries on the legacy of the October 4th Joint Declaration. What is your prospects on future inter-Korean exchanges?
Of course, it depends on the North Korea, the U.S. relations, how rapidly the denuclearization process can go through. But when I look at the two leaders, they established mutual trust for sure, and I do hope that good relationship between North and South will continue towards the onward.
And for Japan, improving ties with North Korea seems very important, and it's been working hard to normalize ties with Pyongyang. Why is it so important? I mean, what does the normalization of ties exactly entail for both sides, and especially for Japan?
Right. Actually, our Prime Minister Koizumi visited Pyongyang in early 2000s, and there is what we call a Japan-North Korea declaration. This year, because of the North and South relationship and getting better, first ever North and the U.S. dialogue has been going on. Why Japan does not have a dialogue with North Korea, even to solve those abduction issues? Why don't we have a dialogue with North Korea? That's our government's policy, because North Korea is our neighboring countries. It's been many decades that we have no sort of diplomatic ties. I had a chance to visit Tower of Chuche, the famous landmark building in Pyongyang, and there was a lady who guided us in Japanese. She, learned Japanese when she was young, but she was complaining that she has, no chance to talk in Japanese recently because there's not many tourists coming to Pyongyang. And she even said she wouldn't, encourage her children to learn Japanese if the nuclearization process goes well and Japan-North Korea relations get better.
Things might change for the better.
Yeah, more Japanese people can visit Pyongyang, and through that, relationship could be changed.
And Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been actually working very hard to fix that problem. He's been saying numerous times that he wants a summit meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But what is the public sentiment toward that possible summit?
Again, as I said, abduction issue was really a big issue for Japanese citizens. North Korea said some, abductees died in Pyongyang, but until those issues are finally solved, I think it's difficult for Japanese public opinion becomes better. However, according to our opinion poll, more than 80% of people replied that it's a good thing to have a dialogue with North Korea. The atmosphere is like, let's have a try. Let's talk and see what, outcome will come out.
All right, and with the summit meeting, they could actually solve the abduction issue as well. So I guess it's going to be a very important topic for the two countries coming up soon. Well, thank you, Mr. Okasaka, for sharing your amazing experiences with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Now, based on what we heard from Mr. Okasaka, it looks like North Korea wanted to demonstrate its strong commitment to economic development and sincerity towards peace to President Moon as well as the foreign journalists who visited Pyongyang. This is all we have for you today. We'll be back next week. Goodbye for now.